Hey all, welcome to your last virtual video lesson / visual demo. This week we are going to be talking about nuclear chemistry, one of my favorite topics. So in nuclear chemistry we talk about the nucleus, right? And in our nucleus we have those two super important particles, protons, which have a positive charge, and neutrons, which have no charge. They are neutral. They both have mass, which is why the nucleus of our atom has most, if not all, of the mass of our atom. The cool part about nuclear chemistry is you can do a bunch of really cool applications with it. So for example, what I have here is just a bag of M&Ms. What this is going to represent is something called the half-life of an atom. Now with half-life, as you can guess, it represents how long it takes for half of my atom to decompose, or basically to emit radiation and to become something else. Atoms tend to do that when they are unstable, so that they can become more stable. Things like uranium undergo nuclear decay. Things like plutonium undergo nuclear decay. Both of those, also fun fact, were used in the making of the atomic bomb. And so with half-life, basically all it means is if I take a random sample of atoms, the half-life represents how long it takes for half of those to decay. So let's say I've waited, 10 years. Let's say the half-life of my atom is 10 years. Well, after those 10 years, I'm going to take all the ones that have an M facing up. Those will represent the ones that have decayed, and I'm going to leave all of the ones that are facing downward. This represents what happens over those 10 years, after one half-life of that atom. I have 14 atoms that have completely decomposed, and about 16 M&Ms that are completely remaining. They haven't decomposed yet. And so all that half-life is trying to tell you, when an atom, or when a sample of atoms goes through a certain period of time, when it hits that half-life, all that means is half of your atoms have decomposed, and the other half are still remaining. They haven't decomposed yet. I'm going to save these for later because I want to eat them. So why does half-life matter? What can we do with things like half-life, and why does nuclear decay even mean anything to us? Well, there are two major processes that happen in nuclear decay and in nuclear reactions that help to create the radiation that all of us have heard about and fear. In one of these types of nuclear reactions, we have fission reactions. And so in a fission reaction, what you have is a large element like uranium that gets fizzed, or that splits apart into smaller atoms. The reason that happens is because it produces a bunch of energy. So for example, the atomic bomb was a fission reaction. It underwent fission, the uranium split into two smaller atoms, and it released a lot of energy in order to do that. Fission reactions are man-made, right? We have to create things like a sample of uranium in order to decay. It's not something that is just found in nature all concentrated. So something like the atomic bomb or something like a fission reaction has to be created by us. It is an engineering feat. And also what powers a lot of our nuclear reactors. There's another type of nuclear reaction, which is called a fusion reaction. There's a reason I'm outside, because the big, bright, beautiful sun in our sky is powered by a fusion reaction. Basically, in a fusion reaction, you have the nucleus of two hydrogen atoms combined together to form one larger thing. So you have two different isotopes, just hydrogens that have a different mass, will combine together into a helium atom, and then when they combine, when they fuse together, it produces a lot of energy. Again, we can tell it produces a lot of energy because the sun is super hot and super bright. So that's how we know that our sun gets its energy, and that is how the sun is powered. Other applications of fusion reactions, people have tried to make like nuclear power plants and stuff with fusion reactions, but they are just not as efficient as the fission reactions tend to be. They're either too much energy is produced, or they're just not as efficient as a fission reaction is. They're not as controllable. So that was our quick demo, our quick explanation on nuclear reactions. We could talk about things like nuclear decay, what happens after something has gone through a half-life. Those are called things like alpha decay, beta decay, and gamma decay. Radiation also is another thing that we can talk about, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to leave it at that for right now. If you're curious, you can look up things like nuclear radiation, anything like that. And a hint for your final project, we will be talking about things like nuclear decay. Thanks, guys.